everyone, welcome back. We're going to be taking a deep dive into some pretty intriguing concepts about learning.
Okay.
Our source material is an excerpt from The
Yeah.
Four Paths to Learning in the Sacred Atlantean
Right.
by Waxira, the founder of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood.
Interesting.
Now, the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood may be a new concept for some of you,
Okay.
but trust me, the ideas in this excerpt
Yeah.
are applicable no matter what your background is.
Okay.
It's all about how we learn and grow
Mhm.
as individuals.
It's a fascinating exploration of moving beyond passive learning.
Right.
Just absorbing information
Yeah.
and becoming active participants in our own development.
Okay, so let's unpack this,
Okay.
shall we? The excerpt outlines 4 distinct paths to learning,
Right.
each with its own unique approach.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is called the Yoga of Service.
Oh.
Now, before you picture me in a yoga studio,
Yeah.
trying to balance a stack of textbooks on my head, this is more about the idea of learning by doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It emphasizes the importance of active engagement
Mm-hmm.
and how direct experience solidifies knowledge
Yeah.
in a way that simply reading or listening can't.
It's like trying to learn how to ride a bike, right?
Uh-huh.
You can read all the manuals in the world,
Yeah.
maybe even watch a few YouTube tutorials,
Mm,
but until you actually hop on and
Okay.
start pedaling,
exactly.
you're not really gonna understand how it works,
Yeah.
and you're definitely gonna fall a few times
Yeah.
before you get the hang of it.
That's a great point. This path really highlights how mistakes can be our greatest teachers. When we actively engage with something,
Yeah,
we're bound to stumble.
right.
But those stumbles
Yeah.
are where the real learning happens.
The source uses the example of learning a sport,
Okay.
which makes total sense.
Yeah.
You can't become a skilled athlete
Right.
just by studying the theory. You need to get out there and practice, experience the challenges firsthand,
Absolutely.
and develop muscle memory.
And it's not just about physical skills either.
Right.
Think about learning a new language.
Yeah.
You can memorize vocabulary and grammar rules,
Uh-huh.
but until you actually start speaking
Yeah.
and interacting with others,
Right.
it's not really going to click.
The source even mentions community service as an expression of the
Yeah.
yoga of service.
Mm-hmm.
It's about applying your skills and knowledge
Yeah.
to make a tangible difference in the world around you, which
Right.
adds a whole other layer to the learning process.
It emphasizes the idea that knowledge becomes more meaningful
Yeah.
when it's put into action for a purpose beyond just personal gain.
Okay, so we've got learning by doing, which
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But the second path, the yoga of meditation, this one might require a bit more explanation.
At its core, it's about the power of focus and attention. Think of meditation as a tool to sharpen those skills,
Right.
to quiet the mental chatter,
Mm-hmm.
and really hone in on what you're trying to learn.
You know, this actually reminds me of a time when I was struggling to grasp a particularly complex concept for a project. I spent hours reading and researching, but
Yeah.
felt like I was just spinning my wheels.
Okay.
Then I decided to take a break,
Yeah.
do a short meditation, and when I came back to the material,
Yeah.
it was like a fog had lifted.
Wow.
Everything suddenly became clear.
That's a perfect example of how quieting the mind
Right.
can unlock a deeper level of understanding.
Yeah.
The source explains that meditation helps achieve a heightened state of awareness
Right.
where we can move beyond just absorbing information
Yeah.
and really delve into the essence of what we're learning.
I can see that I've tried meditation before.
Okay.
And let's just say my mind is like a monkey swinging from vine to vine.
Yeah.
But I can see how quieting that monkey
Yeah.
could unlock some serious learning potential.
Within the framework of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood,
Okay.
meditation is used to connect with one's spiritual essence
Uh-huh.
and enhance cognitive abilities.
Right.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of our inner world
Yeah.
and the world around us.
Now, this next path,
Okay.
the yoga of devotion,
Mm-hmm.
is where things start to challenge the way I usually think about learning.
Right.
It suggests that belief plays a much bigger role than I realized.
It's definitely a less intuitive path than the first two,
Yeah.
but it highlights the role of faith and trust
Right.
in the learning process.
Okay.
Think about it. If you fundamentally don't believe something is possible, or if you distrust the source of information,
Yeah.
are you really going to absorb and integrate that knowledge fully?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If you're starting from a place of doubt,
Right?
it's like putting up a wall
Exactly.
that prevents the information from really sinking in.
The source states that belief provides the fertile soil
Yeah.
where the seeds of knowledge can take root and grow.
Mm-hmm.
It motivates us to take those first steps to open ourselves to new ideas
Right.
and possibilities. It's like having a filter on your perception if you don't believe something is possible.
Right.
You might not even recognize the evidence that supports it.
So within the context of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood, this path would involve having faith in their spiritual guides and the teachings they receive.
Right.
It's about cultivating trust as a foundation for learning and growth.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And without that underlying trust, it becomes much harder to fully embrace the teachings and integrate them into one's life.
Okay, so we've covered action with the yoga of service, focused attention with the yoga of meditation, and the role of belief with the yoga of devotion. Now let's explore the fourth path.
Okay.
The yoga of understanding. This one sounds a bit more familiar, maybe even a bit more traditional.
Yes. This path is all about engaging our analytical minds.
Okay.
It's about drawing connections, using critical thinking, and really digging into the why and how of things to reach a deeper level of understanding.
That's like being a detective.
Right. That's a great analogy.
You gather clues, examine the evidence, and use logic to piece together the truth.
The excerpt emphasizes that this path is the primary focus of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood. They prioritize the pursuit of truth through rigorous analysis and reasoning.
But it's not just about accepting things at face value, right?
Absolutely not.
It's about actively questioning, seeking out different perspectives, and making sure that your understanding is grounded in solid evidence and logic.
Absolutely, and that's where critical thinking comes in.
Right.
The source mentions the importance of discerning truth from falsehood, which is more crucial than ever in a world overflowing with information from all sides.
It's easy to get swept away by compelling narratives or catchy headlines. So true. But the yoga of understanding encourages us to slow down.
Right.
Examine the information carefully and form our own conclusions based on reason and evidence.
It's about cultivating intellectual independence and not being afraid to challenge assumptions.
Right.
Even our own.
Now, it seems like each of these paths has its own unique strengths.
Yeah.
And it could be a powerful tool for learning and growth on its own.
Definitely.
But the source also talks about the importance of a holistic approach, integrating all four paths.
Yes.
What does that look like in practice?
That's where it gets really fascinating.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that these paths aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
They can and should work together, complementing and reinforcing each other.
So it's like trying to learn a new language, right?
Exactly.
If you only focus on textbook study, that's the yoga of understanding. Without ever actually speaking the language, which would be the yoga of service, you're probably not going to get very far.
Exactly. And if you don't believe you can actually become fluent, there's the yoga of devotion. You're likely to give up before you reach your full potential.
Okay.
And without focusing on the nuances of pronunciation and grammar, the yoga of meditation, you might be understood, but your communication won't be as effective.
I'm starting to see how these paths can weave together to create a much richer learning experience.
Right.
It's not just about acquiring knowledge, but also about integrating it into our lives and becoming more well-rounded individuals.
Think about a time when you were deeply engrossed in a project you were passionate about. That's the yoga of service in action.
Right.
That focus probably allowed you to try new approaches and learn from your mistakes, which is a key element of the yoga of understanding.
And the more you learned and the better you got at it.
Right.
The more your belief in yourself and the value of the project grew.
Exactly.
Which aligns with the yoga of devotion. And that deep engagement probably brought about moments of intense focus and clarity.
Yes.
Echoing the principles of the yoga of meditation.
Exactly. It becomes a sort of virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key takeaway here.
Okay.
It's not about choosing one path over another, but rather finding ways to integrate them all into a harmonious whole.
It's about recognizing that we learn in different ways. And embracing the full spectrum of our human capacity for growth and understanding.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Now, before we move on, I think it's important to acknowledge that the source material we're discussing, the four paths to learning in the Sacred Atlantean, is rooted in a specific spiritual tradition. And while we've been exploring these paths in a broader context, It's important to be mindful of their origins.
Okay.
And the framework within which they were developed.
You're absolutely right. It's all about context.
Right.
And for our listeners who might be intrigued by the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood and want to learn more, the excerpt itself mentions a Facebook page as a potential starting point.
And as always, when exploring any new spiritual or philosophical framework, it's important to approach it with an open mind and a critical eye.
Right.
Do your research, explore different perspectives.
Absolutely.
And see what resonates with you personally.
Learning is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And it's one we undertake throughout our lives.
You know what really strikes me about these 4 paths? Is that they're not just about acquiring knowledge, but about transforming ourselves in the process.
Right.
They invite us to become more engaged, more aware, and ultimately more fully realized individuals.
It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning and growth.
Right.
It's about recognizing that the potential for understanding and development is always there within us, waiting to be unlocked.
And these 4 paths offer different keys to unlock that potential.
Exactly.
They're like different lenses through which we can view the world and our place in it.
What's so exciting is that it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for how we approach learning, both in our personal lives and in our professional endeavors.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 4 paths to learning, I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
All right.
If you could choose one of these paths to focus on for the next month, which would it be and why?
Would you challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone and learn something new through hands-on experience, embracing the yoga of service? Or would you commit to cultivating a daily practice of mindfulness and focus, exploring the depths of the yoga of meditation?
Maybe you'd be drawn to exploring a new belief system or spiritual practice, leaning into the power of the yoga of devotion. Or perhaps you'd choose to delve deeper into a subject that fascinates you, embracing the principles of critical thinking and analysis offered by the yoga of understanding.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
It's about identifying which path speaks to you most strongly at this point in your journey.
And remember, it's not a permanent choice.
Right.
You can experiment, explore different paths, and see what resonates with you.
Exactly.
The key is to keep learning.
Absolutely.
Keep growing. And keep expanding your horizons.
Because ultimately, the greatest lesson we can learn is that learning itself is a lifelong adventure.
Well said.
Yeah.
And on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of learning and personal growth. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are inspired to embark on your own exploration of these 4 paths.
Until next time.
Keep
seeking, keep learning, and keep diving deep